If your average order value is over 500, I would say 100% you need, any type of payment installment solution.
Hello everybody, welcome to Surge. This week we will talk about splitting payments, paying over time, and paying in installments on e-commerce systems such as BigCommerce, Shopify, Evolution, 3D Cart, etc., etc. Now, with the pandemic of COVID, what has been happening in e-commerce is e-commerce business owners are getting requests now that they never got before or that didn't get that often. Just to give you an idea, for the past 30 days or so, we've received maybe 15 to 20 requests of e-commerce websites trying to install a pay over time or pay with multiple cards or split payments kind of functionalities. And the reason that this is happening is obviously because the consumer is suffering. If somebody wants to purchase a $600 barbecue, or if somebody wants to purchase a $700 vacuum cleaner, they might not have the money right now, but they still want the product. So today we will talk about how you, as an e-commerce business owner, can adapt to these economic times and make sure that you increase your conversions by providing some of these functionalities for your users. So Joe, maybe 6-7 years ago, the first time that we did this functionality was actually with a firearm dealer. A firearm dealer wanted to do kind of like a layaway functionality. That was the first thing. And second thing is he wanted to do split payments into multiple cards. Why do you think the requests, other than the economic reasons, why do you think the requests for these have increased now for us for the past 30 days?
Yeah, well, I think it has to do with now that everyone knows we're going to enter a recession, consumers are being stuck between a rock and a hard place between necessities and commodities, right? Things that they want and things that they have to have. They're still going to want to make those purchases for, a vacuum cleaner that might not be a necessity at that moment in time. However, it's something that they still want. An e-commerce store that gives them the ability to pay over time is going to capture that win, that customer, rather than one that doesn't. It's really a matter of these e-commerce stores accommodating the consumer now, whereas before, the e-commerce brand kind of held all the power. Now it's kind of shifting gears a little bit, where the consumer is the one that's going to be holding more power.
Got it. And this is funny because a couple of days ago, I went and I bought some stocks for cruise lines, a few cruise lines, because these, there are 3 cruise lines that control more than 80% of the industry. And I just can't believe that these cruise lines are not going to do business. I read a few articles that Carnival's bookings were up 600%. And we do e-commerce and we do any kind of checkout. So what I wanted to do is go and see if they have made any changes. And shockingly enough, when I went on one of the websites and tried to book a cruise, they have pay over time, which they did not have before, and pay in installments and split into cards. Now, let's just explain these for a second. Pay over time is simple. It's like a layaway kind of functionality. That's A. And the B with pay over time is actually something like an affirm functionality, something that has to do with your credit check, and you basically pay over time, and sometimes there's no interest, sometimes there's minimal interest. There are tools that you can integrate, and all these solutions basically have APIs so they can be implemented. Split payments has to do with splitting into multiple cards. Now, there are multiple reasons for this. You might not have enough credit on one credit card or enough of a line on one credit card, so you split it, or maybe you're buying it as a group of people. Like we get this a lot from actually religious organizations or nonprofit organizations because they want to split it into different types of cards. Pay in installments is similar to that one. And then we have obviously a couple of different reasons why somebody would want to pay in installments. So these are the types of functionalities that we're seeing. And I think what's going to happen I expect this to last maybe 24 months or so. We will see more and more requests from customers, from e-commerce customers, asking to be able to pay in multiple installments or split credit cards or split payment. Now, Joe, in the checkout process, let's talk about the platforms. This is pretty straightforward for hosted carts like Volusion, 3D Cart, Miva, Shopify, BigCommerce. And for open source like Magento and WooCommerce, this is pretty straightforward. But when it comes to enterprise, it gets complicated. How would you base this on? Like, is there an average order volume you would say? If we were trying to talk to e-commerce business owners, and if we said, hey, if you are doing ABC, you need this functionality, what would those ABCs be for you?
Yeah, so I would definitely have to take a look at your average price point and then your average order value. If you're, I would say, anywhere between the 500 plus range and your average order value, this is definitely something that you might want to consider. People may be able to still, stomach a $300 payment or $400 payment, possibly. That's already getting to that threshold. But if your average order value is over 500, I would say 100% you need to look at either a layaway solution, a split payment solution, or a payment, any type of payment installment solution.
Now, we've done this before. What kind of conversion increases have you seen with this level of functionality before for the right kind of e-commerce client?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen up to a jump of 5 to sometimes even 10% increase in conversion rates. So this could truly help your conversion rates. Now, the way that you're going to be tracking conversions are going to be a little bit different from that initial, checkout where that individual doesn't necessarily have that item yet, doesn't have that product yet, nor have they fully completed the payment. So tracking conversions are going to be a little bit different, but at least the initial checkout conversion rate will increase.
Got it. So let's talk about the technical side of things. How do we actually make it possible? I mean, Shopify, BigCommerce, Volusion, all these systems, Magento, they don't come with this functionality built in. You actually have to add it. It's very basic technology. We basically alter the checkout. And most of the time, if we have to use an alternate payment method and we basically split your checkout and we take a percentage of the sale in the checkout process, but we also add a process to the checkout thank you page that actually makes this functionality possible. And then we have to create a third-party database that tracks on a per product and per order basis what was paid and what is owed. So how this works is a customer comes to your site, wants to purchase a $1,500 product. The minimum you require for deposit for that product is $500. Initially, when they want to purchase that product, we charge this card $500. And then they owe you $1,000. Now, they have the option to split that into 3 payments, 4 payments. They have the option to come back and pay whenever they want. And we track that on a third-party database, and we basically reflect it through API to whatever platform you're using, Shopify, BigCommerce, et cetera, et cetera. It's a workaround, but it's a very straightforward process. We've done that multiple times. Give me some industries, Joe, that you think this will work well with.
Well, before we get into that, and I know we'll most likely touch base on this on our next Surge session, but another thing that when implementing this type of functionality that you need to keep in mind is that you need to have an inventory management system. You need to have the ability to, when an item gets checked out, right, or they initiate the checkout, that item now becomes on hold, right? So without having that proper tracking in place, you can get into overselling. You can just run into tons of issues. So you're going to need to have an inventory management system if you're going to be implementing a layaway or pay over time functionality, and in order for that to actually run properly and effectively.
Got it. Yeah. So if you are tracking quantities, you're going to need to basically work on that logic of holding the product, and you don't want to oversell and get negative reviews. Back to my question, Joe, that you ignored a few minutes ago. Give me a couple of industries that this works for.
Home improvement, such as home appliances, flooring, paint, things that people are going to be needing to do around the house or need to contract someone to do around their house. That is going to be a necessity for them. We're going to see actually an increase in firearms. Now that everything is going on, firearm sales have increased tremendously. And now it has somewhat become a necessity to own a firearm. At least in some consumers' minds. So we're going to see a huge increase in the amount of layaway solutions within the firearm industry. And then there are going to be other industries, to be honest, that, we're going to be surprised by getting into this. And I think that we were shocked to see some of the industries thriving right now that we didn't expect coming in to the pandemic. So I'm honestly curious to see the types of industries that are going to start to implement this moving forward.
I would also add furniture to this, any kind of gym equipment, because people cannot go to the gym, any kind of at home, again, the bikes that they sell, the different types of exercise equipment, anything that people don't have access to that they used to have access to. And anything over $400, $500, I would say, if your average order volume is around there, you definitely need that functionality. If you have any questions, let us know. We've built this probably 200, 300 times. We know it really well. We'll be happy to guide you in the right direction. We'll talk to you guys next week.